Take a slow, deep breath. Let it fill your lungs gently. Now exhale, slowly, completely, like you're releasing the weight of the day. Again, breathe in calm. Breathe out everything you don't need to carry anymore. You're here now, in a quiet moment, where you don't have to do anything, fix anything, or be anyone other than who you are. You are safe here. You are loved. You are held in the presence of God. As the night settles around you, imagine the day fading away behind soft clouds. The light grows dim, and the air becomes still. The noise of your thoughts begins to quiet, like ripples on a lake that slowly smooth out. Each breath brings you deeper into rest, not just physical rest, but the deep, sacred stillness that only God can give. The world around you may feel uncertain. You may have carried worries, plans, regrets, or unfinished things through your day. But right now, none of that has power here. This is the space where God watches over you. This is the moment where His peace begins to whisper through your heart. In peace, I will lie down and sleep. For you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. Let those words sink in. Let them become the rhythm of your breath. In peace, inhale. I will lie down, exhale, and sleep, rest, for you alone. Lord, inhale. Make me dwell in safety. Exhale. God's peace is not just an idea, it's a presence that wraps around you like a warm blanket, like the gentle rhythm of the tide against the shore. You don't need to understand everything that happened today. You don't need to control what tomorrow brings. For this moment, you only need to rest. As you rest, imagine the Lord drawing near, not far above the stars, but right beside you, in the quiet of your room. His presence is not loud or demanding. It's gentle, tender, parental, the way a father sits beside his child's bed, whispering, "It's okay now. You're safe. I'm here." Maybe you've had days when safety felt distant, when your mind raced, or your heart ached with questions that didn't have answers. But tonight, there is no need to solve or strive. The one who made you has already surrounded you with care. His hands have never let go. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid." John 1:4-7. Those words are alive tonight. They are being spoken again, not just to the disciples long ago, but to you, here, now. Peace I leave with you, His peace. Not a fragile calm that can break with a single thought, but a lasting peace that flows from His heart into yours. A peace that says, even here, even now, even in the quiet, you are safe. Let that peace rest on you like soft light falling through a window. Imagine its glow tracing over your shoulders, your hands, your heartbeat. With each breath, that peace settles deeper, washing away tension, anxiety, guilt, or anything that tries to keep you awake. You are being held in divine love. You are being gently restored. Take another breath in, Feel the air fill you with the reminder that you are alive by grace. Exhale, release the burdens you were never meant to carry alone. God is not waiting for you to be perfect to give you peace. He is peace itself. And He has chosen to dwell with you, even now, in the quiet of your breathing. His Spirit rests over you like a soft covering. The night is His creation too. He designed it to restore and renew what the day has worn down. The stars above are not there by chance, they are signs of His order and care. Each one glowing as if whispering, "You are not forgotten." If your mind begins to wander, if old thoughts or memories try to return, don't fight them. Just breathe again. And imagine placing each thought gently into God's hands. You don't have to hold them. You don't have to fix them. Let Him. There's a deep stillness that comes when you trust that the one who never sleeps is watching over you. When you close your eyes tonight, you're not closing yourself off, you're opening your soul to rest in His keeping. Picture a wide, open night sky. The air is cool and steady. Somewhere nearby, water flows softly. A stream reflecting moonlight. The sound is slow and peaceful. You lie down on soft grass. The earth warm beneath you. There's no fear here. No rush. No expectations. Only the sense that everything is okay because God is near. The shepherd of your soul is awake, guarding, guiding, and singing over you in love. You are safe here. You are loved. You are home in His presence. Sometimes the world tells you that you have to earn rest, that you must finish everything, achieve everything, before you can be still. But God whispers something different. Come to me, and I will give you rest. He invites you to stop striving, to stop measuring your worth by what you accomplish, and to remember that His love is the reason you can breathe freely. As you rest, you're not doing nothing. You're allowing His Spirit to restore what busyness has taken. Rest is holy. Sleep is sacred. It's a way of trusting God with your life for a few hours, believing that He is able to take care of what you can't. In this quiet, imagine God's hand gently covering you, shielding you from the noise of fear. His presence becomes a canopy of light over your bed. Every breath becomes a small prayer. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm held. If tears come, let them. They're part of release. God sees every one. They are not a sign of weakness, but of surrender. The one who created your emotions understands them all. You are not too much for Him. You are not unseen. Right now, He is whispering into the silence of your heart, my child. You don't have to carry this anymore. Lay it down. Rest in me. And so you do. You lay down the weight, the pressure to fix, to understand, to be strong. You rest not because the world is perfect, but because His love is perfect. Your body begins to loosen. Your shoulders soften. Your breathing slows. Your heartbeat finds a steady rhythm that matches the calm around you. Peace flows in like water over dry ground. Every moment of this stillness is healing you. Not just your muscles or your thoughts, but the deeper places, the ones that have longed to hear that they're safe. You are safe. You are loved. You are His. And as you drift deeper, the Spirit of God sings softly over you, a lullaby of grace and protection. He has always been here, waiting for you to come home to His peace. In this peace, there's no fear of tomorrow. The same God who held you today will meet you when the sun rises again. He never leaves. He never changes. Let that promise settle like a blanket over your soul. I am with you always. Even here, even now. So breathe once more slowly, deeply. Let go of the day. Feel it fade behind you, as if the Lord Himself is closing the door on everything that doesn't need to follow you into rest. All that remains is love pure, calm, and endless. God's peace surrounds you. His Spirit watches over you, and your heart, your precious, beating heart, rests safely in His care. Sleep now in peace. Sleep in the assurance that you are seen, known, and cherished. Sleep in the arms of the One who made you and calls you beloved. You are safe here. You are loved. You are home. Take a slow, steady breath. Let it fill you gently, as if you are inhaling light itself. Now exhale, slowly, letting go of everything that feels heavy. Tonight, you don't need to force anything. You don't need to search for answers. You only need to rest and let light find you. Sometimes, the night feels heavier than usual. You can feel it not just around you, but inside in the quiet spaces of your heart where the shadows gather. Maybe you've had days that felt endless, moments that seemed darker than they should. Maybe you've wondered where the light went. But the truth is, even when your eyes can't see it, light never disappears. It only hides for a moment, waiting to reveal itself again. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things were made. Without Him, nothing was made that has been made. In Him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. That light is still shining. Right now, here, in the middle of your night, take another breath in and out. Feel that truth settle deep within you. The darkness cannot overcome the light of Christ. It never has, and it never will. You may feel uncertain, restless, or even a little afraid of what you can't see or control. But this moment is holy. This darkness is not a punishment. It's an invitation. It's the place where light begins to speak again. Close your eyes and imagine the night sky above you. A deep, velvet expanse, endless and quiet. At first, it looks empty, but as your eyes adjust, stars begin to appear one by one. Each tiny spark is a reminder that even the smallest light breaks through vast darkness. And God's light, His love, shines infinitely brighter than any star. He knows how heavy some nights can feel. He knows the thoughts that circle through your mind, the memories that rise when everything grows still. And He doesn't turn away. He draws near, quietly, like the glow of dawn brushing over the horizon. Patient and certain, you may whisper, "Surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me." But even there, His light is with you. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day. for darkness is as light to you. Psalm 139, 1:12. Let that promise rest over you. Darkness and light are both alike to Him. What feels hidden to you is seen clearly by God. What feels uncertain to you is fully known to Him. Inhale, His light is here. Exhale, His peace surrounds you. If you've been afraid of the dark, not just the literal dark, but the emotional shadows, the unknowns, this is where you begin to let go. You can stop running from it. You can stop trying to light everything on your own. God's light is not something you must create. It's something you receive. Imagine that light beginning to fill the room you're in, not blinding, not harsh, but soft and steady. It touches the corners, the quiet spaces, the parts of your heart you've tried to hide. And it doesn't condemn. It simply shines. It reveals what's real and beautiful, what's been waiting beneath the surface all along. The light of God is gentle. It doesn't rush or demand. It simply is. And as it fills you, it begins to change how you see everything, even the shadows. Maybe the darkness isn't your enemy. Maybe it's the canvas where God's light paints His grace. Think about how stars need the night to be seen, how dawn only comes after the long hours of waiting. Your soul is learning to see in new ways, not with fear, but with trust. If you listen closely, you might sense a quiet voice rising within you. The voice of the Spirit saying, "You're not lost. I'm right here. My light has never left you." Breathe in that assurance. You are not alone in this night. The one who spoke light into existence is breathing light into your spirit now. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your mind soften. Let your heart unclench. You don't need to figure out tomorrow. You don't need to solve what only God can hold. All you need to do is rest in the glow of His presence. There's something sacred about this moment, the intersection between fear and faith, night and light, holding on and letting go. This is where trust grows. This is where peace begins. When Jesus walked among the people, He said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." And that same light, His life, is shining within you now. Even when you can't see it, His light has already gone ahead of you, lighting paths you don't even know you'll walk yet. Even when you feel surrounded, His presence is closer than your breath. Even when your prayers are only whispers, He hears everyone. The darkness may feel heavy, but His love is heavier still. Imagine the night as a soft blanket, not a threat. It covers the world so you can rest, while God stays awake, watching, working, healing, restoring. Somewhere in the unseen, He's already preparing new mercies for the morning. You can let yourself rest in that. If a wave of sadness or worry rises, imagine a small light flickering gently in your chest, a candle burning in still air. It doesn't struggle. It doesn't strain. It simply glows. That's what His presence does within you, constant, faithful, unafraid of the dark. You can whisper quietly. The light shines in the darkness, and let the words echo softly in your spirit. The light shines, present tense, right now, in your life, in your night. Even when your thoughts feel tangled, His truth is steady. Even when you feel broken, His light still finds the cracks and fills them with grace. There's a beauty in this quiet surrender, the kind that comes not from trying harder, but from realizing that you are seen, known, and loved completely. Let that realization wash over you like the first colors of dawn. Soft pink, pale gold, a horizon slowly brightening with hope. God is not far away, waiting for you to climb out of the dark. He is right here, sitting beside you. In the quiet, the Creator of light has chosen to dwell within you. So rest. Let go of the idea that you must be strong all the time. Let His light be your strength tonight. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are seen here. Every heartbeat, every breath is wrapped in divine attention. You are not walking through this night alone. Imagine that light expanding, stretching beyond your room, beyond the walls, spilling out into the world. It touches the faces of those you love, the corners of your life where hope once dimmed. It fills them again, quietly, faithfully. This is what God does. He turns shadows into shelter. He turns silence into songs. He turns night into holy ground. The longer you rest in His presence, the more your fears begin to lose their shape. They shrink in the brightness of His love until they dissolve completely. You don't have to fight them. You just let His light do the work. There's no rush. Peace takes its time. Grace works gently, like morning light spreading across the earth. And you are part of that sunrise. Every moment you choose to rest instead of fear, trust instead of control, you are letting His light transform you. Now breathe again, slow, deep, calm. Let your body grow heavy against the bed, your mind quiet as still water. Let the night become a sanctuary, a holy space where God's presence is real and close. Whisper to yourself, His light is here, and believe it. You might begin to sense warmth, not physical warmth, but the gentle warmth of being loved, known, protected. It flows from your chest to your hands, from your hands to your breath, from your breath to your thoughts. Every corner of you is touched by light, and in that light, everything changes. The fears that once felt endless begin to fade. The questions that once felt heavy lose their urgency. You start to remember that God has always been faithful, always been near, always been love. You begin to rest in that truth, to breathe it in, to let it carry you towards sleep. You can release the weight of today. You can release the things you can't fix. You can release the guilt, the striving, the wondering, because His light, steady and kind, is enough for you tonight. Let it shine through your dreams. Let it whisper peace into your spirit. Let it remind you that even in your darkest hours, you are never without hope. God is light, and in Him, there is no darkness at all. When you wake again, you'll find that His light has been working through the night, quietly renewing, softly healing, deeply anchoring you in peace. For now, rest, let go, let the light hold you. You are safe, you are loved, you are surrounded by grace. The night is no longer something to fear. It is a place where the glory of God meets you, where His light shines not just around you, but within you. Sleep now, under His watchful care. Sleep, knowing that the same light that began the world still burns in your soul. Sleep, beloved child of God, beneath a sky that glows with unseen stars. You are never alone in the darkness, for even here, especially here, the light shines, and the darkness has not overcome it. There comes a moment when your hands are tired from holding on. You've tried to fix, to plan, to make sense of things that simply won't bend your way. You've done your best, but even your best has left you weary. And deep inside, a quiet voice begins to whisper, there's another way. Letting go is not giving up. It's giving back, returning the weight to the one who was always strong enough to carry it. Tonight is about release, about allowing God to be who He already is: faithful, loving, constant. You don't need to understand everything that's happened. You don't need to figure out how to make tomorrow work. You only need to rest in the truth that you are not alone, and that the one who formed the stars is still guiding your story. There are moments in life that leave you feeling powerless. A door that won't open, a relationship that fades, a plan that unravels. And when that happens, something inside you tries harder. You tighten your grip. You think if you just try one more time, if you hold on a little longer, maybe things will finally change. But sometimes, what God asks of you is not to try harder, but to trust deeper. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 1:12-8:30. Those words are not just for long ago. They're for this moment, this night, this heart that's been trying to hold too much. You don't have to keep proving your strength. God is not impressed by your exhaustion. He is moved by your honesty. You can tell Him, I can't do this anymore, and He will not turn away. There is freedom in that confession. There is beauty in surrender. Because when you finally loosen your grip, you find that His hands have been waiting underneath yours all along. He never asked you to carry it all. He only asked you to trust Him with it. You might wonder what it really means to let go. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care or ignoring what hurts. It means choosing to believe that God's wisdom is greater than your worry. It means opening your heart to peace, even when you don't have every answer. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. That's what surrender looks like, a trust that doesn't depend on clarity, but on character. You may not see the road ahead, but you know the one who walks beside you. You may not understand the timing, but you know His heart. Think about the times you've held on to something that no longer fit in your hands, a past mistake, a fear, a person, a dream. You held it so tightly it began to hurt. And when you finally opened your hands, there was pain, but also space. Space for peace to enter. Space for God to place something new. Letting go always begins with that small space, the one that opens when you stop trying to control the outcome and start trusting the process. You are not losing control. You are giving control back to the one who never lost it. God sees what you cannot. He knows the turns you haven't reached yet, the people you will meet, the strength you will discover, the peace that's already being written into your story. You don't have to make everything happen. You simply have to be willing to release what no longer belongs to you. Sometimes surrender is quiet, a whispered prayer in the dark, Lord. I give this to you. Sometimes it's a tear that falls, carrying a weight that words can't explain. And sometimes it's simply a decision, a gentle nod of the heart that says, I trust you, even here. God is not asking you to understand everything tonight. He's inviting you to rest in His understanding. He's reminding you that His ways are higher, His love deeper, His timing perfect. There's something sacred about admitting you don't have control, because in that space, grace grows. In that honesty, peace finds you. When Jesus said His burden was light, He didn't mean life would be easy. He meant that when you walk with Him, the weight changes hands. What you once carried alone, you now carry with grace, and that changes everything. If your heart feels heavy, imagine setting that weight at His feet. Every fear, every worry, every disappointment, every what if. He doesn't push it away. He receives it. And in return, He gives you something softer, peace, rest, mercy. He replaces the noise of striving with the quiet rhythm of trust. He replaces the tightness in your chest with calm assurance that He is already at work. The night feels different when you remember you are not the one holding it together. God is, and He's never once failed to hold what's been placed in His hands. Maybe part of your letting go tonight is forgiving yourself. Maybe it's realizing that you don't have to be perfect to be loved. Maybe it's choosing to stop replaying what you wish you'd done differently. Grace covers it all. You are not defined by what you could not control. You are defined by the love that refuses to let you go. You can rest in that. There is a kind of peace that only comes after surrender, the kind that seeps into the corners of your soul when you finally stop fighting the current. It's the peace that says, God is still good. God is still here. God still has me. Sometimes peace looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like silence that doesn't need to be filled. It's all sacred. Every quiet moment of release is a prayer. Every small act of trust is an offering. You may not feel strong right now, but strength isn't the goal. Rest is. Peace is. Presence is. God is not asking you to do more tonight, only to let go. Let go of the pressure. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the fear that if you stop holding it all together, everything will fall apart. It won't, because He's already holding you. He's been holding you since the beginning, through every storm, every doubt, every long night of wondering, and He will keep holding you until peace becomes the only thing left. Let the world be what it is for now. You don't need to manage it all. You only need to rest in His care. Maybe letting go feels unnatural, even frightening. But think about how a seed must let go of the soil around it to grow. How a river must release its water to the ocean to become whole. There is beauty in release, life in surrender. You are not losing when you let go. You are returning to what is true. You belong to a God who doesn't need your control to bring His plan to life. He only needs your trust. You can trust Him with your unanswered prayers. You can trust Him with your uncertainty. You can trust him with your heart. Every time you release something, a fear, a burden, a desire, you make room for something holy. And that holiness begins to fill you with gratitude. Gratitude for the grace that meets you in your limits. Gratitude for the God who never leaves. Gratitude for the peace that doesn't depend on understanding. You begin to see that letting go isn't about losing power, it's about gaining freedom. Freedom to rest. Freedom to be. Freedom to know that you are loved without condition. This is the sacred exchange, your burden for his rest, your control for his peace. He takes what was heavy and gives you back lightness of heart. He takes what was tangled and replaces it with clarity. He takes your fear and fills it with faith. That's what it means to surrender to love. And tonight, that love surrounds you. It doesn't demand. It doesn't rush. It simply waits. Open and steady, ready for you to hand over whatever you're still holding. So you do. You let it fall quietly, completely into his care. And in that moment, everything changes. Not because the world around you is suddenly perfect, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. You feel a soft calm begin to settle inside you. It's not loud, not dramatic, just gentle assurance that you are safe in his keeping. Peace begins to take root. Gratitude follows. And your heart, once so full of tension, begins to rest in rhythm with grace. God is not asking you to forget your pain. He's asking you to trust him with it. He's not asking you to deny your fears. He's asking you to place them in his hands. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You find yourself lighter, not empty, but free, not without care, but filled with care that no longer crushes you. This is the peace he promised the rest for your soul that no striving could ever bring. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are free here. Letting go is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of rest, the doorway to joy. And when the morning comes, you'll find that what you released into his hands has been transformed, reshaped by mercy, renewed by love. You'll see how surrender made space for something better. You'll see how trust led you home. For now, you don't need to do anything more. You don't need to plan or fix or prove. You simply need to rest in the one who never stops caring for you. Let everything else fade for a while, the noise, the expectations, the control. There is nothing missing here. There is nothing undone, only peace. And in that peace, gratitude begins to rise, not loud, but quiet and steady. Thank you, Lord, for taking what I couldn't hold. Thank you for reminding me that I don't have to be in control to be safe. Thank you for being enough. The night grows still. The worries lose their voice. Only love remains. And you rest not because everything is solved, but because everything is surrendered. You are safe. You are loved. You are held by hands that never let go. The night feels heavy with rain. You can hear it. Not only outside your window, but somewhere within you, the quiet sound of waves rising and falling in your chest. There are storms that begin in the sky, and there are storms that begin in the heart. Both can feel endless, wild, and far beyond your control. Maybe your storm is worry, a restless thought that keeps circling no matter how you try to silence it. Maybe it's grief, or the ache of not knowing what comes next. Maybe it's that feeling that everything is spinning faster than you can steady it. Whatever shape it takes, you are not alone in it. Long ago, when the wind howled across the Sea of Galilee and the waves crashed against a small wooden boat, the disciples knew this kind of fear. They had seen storms before, but this one was different, stronger, darker, and fierce enough to make even fishermen tremble. The boat was filling with water. Their voices were shouting over the wind. And in the middle of it all, Jesus slept. He wasn't unaware. He wasn't uncaring. He simply rested in the authority that no storm could shake. They cried out, "Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown?" And he rose and spoke into the chaos. "Peace, be still." At his words, the wind stopped. The sea grew calm again. The world went quiet. That same voice still speaks today. The storm may not always disappear right away, but his peace moves deeper than the surface. It steadies what's inside you. It whispers through the noise. Peace, be still. Those 3 words are not just history. They are a living promise. You may not be standing on a boat, but you know the feeling of water rising. You've felt the moments when panic threatens to overtake reason, when faith feels smaller than fear. And yet, even in those moments, Christ is near, not distant, not silent, but present in a way you can sense if you quiet the noise long enough. He is not far away from your storm. He is in it, speaking calm into every wave that tries to pull you under. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 6. The peace of God guards you not like a fragile wall, but like a strong, quiet presence that surrounds you from within. It doesn't depend on the world becoming perfect. It lives in the middle of imperfection. Think for a moment of how the sea must have felt that night, wild one second, still the next. The transformation wasn't gradual. It happened in a moment. At his command. That's what his peace does in you. It doesn't argue with the storm, it silences it. Sometimes, your storm is loud because your heart has forgotten that he's still in the boat. You think he's sleeping, distant, unaware of how close you are to breaking. But he hasn't left you for a single second. His calm has been beside you all along, waiting for the moment when you remember to look at him instead of the wind. The storm wants your attention. Peace wants your trust. Maybe your life right now feels like that sea churning, unpredictable, full of waves that rise without warning. But deep beneath the surface, there is another rhythm, slow, sure, eternal. The voice of the one who commands the wind also commands your heart. When he says, "Peace, be still," the chaos has to listen. Even the thoughts that race in the quiet of night begin to settle. Even the fears that feel too tangled to name begin to lose their shape. His words are not just sound, they are power, life, and love. He is not asking you to stop feeling afraid by your own strength. He is inviting you to rest in His. Imagine yourself in that boat, surrounded by wind and water. You turn and see Him calm, steady, eyes filled with light that cuts through the dark. You tell Him your fear, your exhaustion, your helplessness, and He listens. Then He stands, speaks softly, and everything begins to change. The sea listens to Him. The sky listens to Him. Your soul listens to Him. The storm within you doesn't have the final word. He does. Maybe you've tried to calm yourself with logic, with distraction, with effort. But His peace isn't earned, it's received. It's what happens when you let His voice become louder than the storm. Peace doesn't mean the storm never comes back. It means that when it does, you no longer face it alone. In every storm, there's a moment when you realize the control is an illusion, that steering harder won't change the wind. That's the moment when surrender becomes the only way through. Not surrender to fear, but to faith. When the disciples heard Him speak, they were amazed. Even the wind and the waves obey Him. They had known Him as teacher and healer. But that night they saw Him as Lord of creation. The sea that terrified them a moment before now became their testimony. Your own storms can become the same, not proof of failure, but of faith. The places that once brought you to your knees are often the same places where you learn who He truly is. Every storm carries a message: you are not God. And that's a relief. You are not meant to calm the sea, only to trust the one who can. There's something sacred about realizing that your strength was never the solution. It frees you. It allows you to rest while the storm still rages, knowing that peace doesn't come from your control, but from His presence. Even now, as you think about your own storms, His voice is near, not condemning, not demanding, just steady and kind, saying again and again, peace, be still. That's what He speaks over your fear, over your family, over your future, over your restless thoughts. You might not feel the sea flatten all at once, but you'll sense something shift, a quiet strength rising inside you. The beginning of stillness. Sometimes the miracle isn't that the storm stops. It's that you stop sinking, because His hand reaches for you before you even ask. And when you take it, you realize you were never in danger of being lost, only of forgetting how close He really is. His peace is not fragile. It doesn't disappear when the waves return. It's anchored in His nature, strong, faithful, unchanging. You can lean into that peace. You can trust it to hold. The same Jesus who calmed the sea still calms the mind. The same voice that spoke to wind and water still speaks into human hearts. The world around you may not be silent, but you can still find stillness. It begins inside, where His Spirit whispers louder than the storm. Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of Christ. He stands with you in the middle of everything that feels too loud, too uncertain, too heavy. His words cut through the roar like sunlight through clouds. Peace. Be still. You can almost hear it, not just with your ears, but with something deeper. The part of you that remembers you are not abandoned, not forgotten, not alone. The rain might keep falling. The waves might keep moving. But inside you, there's a stillness growing, one that nothing outside can shake. When Jesus spoke that night, he didn't rebuke the disciples for being afraid before calming the sea. He calmed the sea first. Then he said, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" He wasn't scolding them. He was reminding them of what they had just witnessed, that faith doesn't begin when the storm ends. It begins when you realize he's been in the boat all along. Your faith doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to look strong. Sometimes it's just a quiet trust, a soft whisper in your heart that says, "I believe you're still here." That's enough. He honors even the smallest seed of faith. He can calm a storm with a word. He can calm your soul with a thought. So when your world feels unstable, remember, this peace is not something you must chase. It's something that finds you when you remember who holds the sea. The one who commands creation is not far from you. He is Emmanuel, God with us, God with you. You may feel the waves, but he feels every heartbeat. You may hear the thunder, but he hears your prayers. You may see darkness, but he sees dawn. The storm cannot erase his promise. It can only reveal it, even in the chaos. His love remains constant, even in the confusion. His truth stands firm, even in your weakness. His strength is made perfect. And when the storm finally passes, and it will, you'll find that the same sea that once frightened you now reflects the sky. You'll see the beauty in what's been calmed. And you'll understand that peace was never lost. It was waiting. Every storm eventually runs out of rain, but his peace never runs out. It stays. It endures. It holds. When morning comes, the air will smell clean again. The world will glisten with the light of renewal. And you will remember how the night taught you something sacred, that peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in the presence of the one who calms them. You are safe. You are loved. You are held in hands that command both wind and wave. There is nothing too loud for his peace, nothing too broken for his touch, nothing too lost for his love to find. Tonight, the storm may whisper your fears, but his voice speaks louder. Peace. Be still. Let those words echo within you until they become your rhythm, your anchor, your song. Peace. Be still. You are not alone. You never were. The sea obeys him. Your heart can too. And when all grows quiet again, you will know, not just believe, but know that the one who spoke calm over the waters still speaks calm over you. The night softens, the waves rest, and so do you. Peace. Beloved, be still. There is a quiet rhythm to the way God gives life. It's not hurried or loud. It moves through the world like a steady pulse. Unseen, but constant. Every leaf that opens, every branch that bears fruit, every moment of stillness in between, all of it flows from connection. To abide is to remain, to dwell, to stay rooted in love, even when everything else feels uncertain. The world will tell you that strength is independence, that worth is found in how much you can achieve. But the kingdom of God whispers a different truth. Real life begins when you learn to depend. Jesus said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Remain in me, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. Those words are not a rule to follow. They are an invitation to rest. You don't have to create life on your own. You only have to stay connected to the one who is life itself. When a branch is attached to the vine, it doesn't strain to grow. It doesn't worry about tomorrow's harvest or measure itself against the others. It simply abides, receiving nourishment, drawing strength, allowing the sap of life to flow through its veins. That's what God invites you to tonight. Not striving, not proving, but abiding. Maybe you've been trying to do everything in your own power. You've been pushing, running, holding things together, wondering why you feel empty even after giving your all. That emptiness isn't failure, it's a signal, a gentle reminder that you were never meant to be your own source. There is a love that wants to fill you again, a life that flows quietly, deeply, from the heart of God into your soul. It doesn't demand, it simply offers. You don't have to reach for it, it's already here. Abiding isn't about doing more, it's about resting in what's already true. You are already loved. You are already connected. You are already part of something eternal. Sometimes we forget this because we're surrounded by noise. The world measures value in motion, in how busy, how visible, how productive you can be. But the vine grows in silence. The richest fruit ripens in stillness. You can stop trying to earn what's already been given. You can stop trying to prove your worth to the one who created you from love itself. He doesn't need your performance. He wants your presence. When you abide, your heart begins to settle into its true home. The restlessness fades, replaced by quiet assurance that you belong not because of what you do, but because of who He is. Think about what it means to remain, to stay through seasons of drought and rain, through pruning and blooming. The branch doesn't panic when the gardener cuts away what no longer brings life. It trusts the hands that hold the shears. Pruning is not punishment, it's preparation. There are times when God removes what you thought you needed not to harm you, but to make room for greater fruit. The loss may sting. The empty spaces may ache. But in time, you'll see what was being made new. Sometimes the greatest growth happens right after the greatest letting go. And even then, the vine never abandons the branch. The flow of life never stops. The connection never breaks. You can rest in that truth tonight. You are never cut off from His love. You are part of His living body, nourished by His Spirit, sustained by His grace. In this moment, picture yourself as that branch rooted, steady, supported by the vine that holds you close. You don't have to reach upward to find God. He is already flowing through you. Every bit of peace you've ever known, every spark of hope that refused to die, every kindness that rose in you, even when you were tired, all of it came from this divine connection. You may not always feel it, but the life of God has always been moving within you, quietly, faithfully, tenderly. When Jesus said, "Apart from me, you can do nothing," He wasn't condemning you. He was reminding you that you don't have to live apart. He knew that in your own strength, you would grow weary. He knew how easily your soul could dry out under the weight of self-reliance. So he offered himself as your source. Stay with me. Remain in my love. Let my words live in you. This is not a demand. It's a promise that as you remain, you will bear fruit. Not the kind the world celebrates, but fruit that lasts, peace that endures storms, kindness that heals, love that flows even in the dark. These are not achievements. They are evident signs that his life has taken root in yours. Maybe you've been feeling dry, like a branch that's lost its color. Maybe the joy that once came easily now feels distant. That's okay. Seasons change, but the vine remains. You don't have to make yourself bloom again. You only have to stay connected. God knows how to restore what's been tired. He knows how to water what's been thirsty. His love doesn't just visit you, it abides in you. And as it does, something subtle begins to happen. The weariness starts to ease. The hard edges soften. You begin to feel alive again in places you thought were gone. That's the miracle of abiding life, returning where it once felt impossible. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've shed, every act of faith, no matter how small, it's all been part of your connection to the vine. Even when you wandered, his roots held fast. Even when you doubted, his life still flowed. Even when you felt unworthy, his love did not pull away. There's no distance too great for his reach, no dryness too deep for his renewal. He doesn't ask you to bring perfection, only presence. He doesn't need your strength, only your willingness to stay close. You don't have to fear being cut off, because he promised, if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. His promise is steady, his love unbreakable, his grace unending. When you live in that rhythm, peace becomes natural. You stop striving to be enough because you realize he already is. You stop chasing love because you already have it. There is a deep serenity that comes when you stop running and start resting. You begin to trust that growth happens not in constant motion, but in continual connection. Even now, the life of God is moving quietly through your soul, strengthening what was weak, healing what was broken, renewing what was weary. Abiding doesn't mean you never face struggle. It means that when struggle comes, you don't face it alone. The vine holds firm even when the storm shakes the branches. And when the sun returns, you find that your roots have gone deeper, your heart steadier, your fruit sweeter. The gardener knows what he's doing. If tonight you feel disconnected, know that all it takes is turning your heart toward him again. Just the smallest movement, a thought, a prayer, a whisper is enough to reopen the flow. You are not far from him. You never were. He's been here all along, waiting with patient love, ready to remind you that your life is intertwined with his. And as you abide, you begin to notice how the world changes around you, not because it's suddenly easier, but because you see it through peace. People become opportunities to love, not to prove. Challenges become moments to trust, not to fear. The future becomes a promise, not a threat. That is the fruit of abiding, the transformation that begins in quiet connection and spills into everything you touch. The more you remain in his love, the more that love flows out of you effortlessly. Naturally, you start to forgive without forcing it. You start to hope without trying to convince yourself. You start to love without condition. It's not you performing goodness, it's Him living through you. And the world around you begins to taste that fruit. There's a sacred peace that follows those who abide. Not perfection, not the absence of pain, but the steady presence of grace. You begin to carry that peace wherever you go. You begin to realize that abiding isn't just for moments of quiet prayer, it's the way you walk through life. You can abide in the middle of traffic. You can abide in the noise of work. You can abide in joy and in sorrow. Because abiding isn't a place, it's a relationship. It's knowing that the life of God never stops flowing through you. When Jesus said, "If you remain in me, you will bear much fruit," He also said, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." That truth isn't meant to make you feel small, it's meant to free you from trying to do everything alone. You can stop striving. You can stop pushing. You can rest in the divine rhythm that's already moving through your being. You are part of something alive and eternal, something that grows not by effort, but by love. So even when you don't feel fruitful, even when you can't see the growth, trust that it's happening. Hidden roots are still roots. Quiet seasons still count. God is at work in unseen places, and nothing connected to Him is ever wasted. The vine does not forget the branch. In the silence, you are being nourished. In the waiting, you are being strengthened. In the pruning, you are being prepared. And when the time is right, you will see the evidence, the fruit of His Spirit ripening in your life. Love that doesn't fade, joy that doesn't depend on circumstance, peace that holds even when the wind rises. This is what abiding produces, and is already growing in you. The world will keep rushing, but you don't have to. The world will keep demanding, but you can stay rooted. The world will keep shifting, but your foundation is unmovable. You belong to the vine that never withers, never dries, never dies. And as you rest in that truth, you begin to see that the greatest miracle isn't in doing, it's in remaining. Remain in His love. Remain in His grace. Remain in the quiet, knowing that you are not alone. You are part of something living, breathing, eternal. His life flows through yours. His strength becomes your strength. His peace becomes your peace. And every time the world tempts you to strive, you can return to this truth: abiding is enough. You don't need to climb. You don't need to impress. You don't need to rush. You are already connected to infinite life. So rest, beloved. Stay where love is steady. Remain in the vine. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are home in the life that never ends. The gardener smiles upon what he has planted. The vine holds firm beneath your soul, and the fruit that grows from your quiet trust will shine long after the night fades away. You are part of His living story, rooted in grace, nourished by love, and kept forever in His care. Abide, and know this truth: nothing can separate you from the source that sustains you. Nothing can undo the connection that holds you. Nothing can stop the flow of His life through yours. You are His branch. He is your vine. And together, you are whole. There are nights when silence feels louder than any sound. The room is still, yet your thoughts move in circles. Reaching for someone to hear them, you turn over, look at the shadows on the wall, and wonder if anyone understands what sits quietly in your heart. Loneliness can come even in a crowded world, not just when you're by yourself. But when you feel unseen, unheard, or forgotten. But you are not alone. You never have been. God's presence is not measured by noise or visibility. It doesn't arrive only when life feels bright or busy. His presence is constant, steady as the air that surrounds you. Quiet as light before dawn. Gentle as the pulse that reminds you that you're alive. You may not feel him the way you wish. You may long for a sign, a sound, a moment that breaks through the quiet. Yet his nearness is not something you must earn. It's something you remember the way a branch remembers the vine. The way a child remembers the rhythm of a familiar voice. When God said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you," he meant it. His love doesn't slip away when the world grows quiet. It leans closer. There is a story written into the stillness, one that whispers that even here, even now, you are seen. You might look back on moments in your life and think, "I was so alone then." But if you look deeper, you may also see the small signs of his care, a word that arrived at the right time. A stranger's kindness, a peace you couldn't explain. He was there, even when you didn't know how to name it. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 45:10. That promise was not just for prophets or ancient kings. It's for you, for the person listening now, longing to feel held again. God is not distant from your loneliness. He steps into it. Jesus knew what it was to feel alone. He prayed in a garden where his closest friends fell asleep instead of standing beside him. He wept for a city that didn't understand his love. He cried out on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And because he entered that loneliness, yours will never have the final word. He understands the ache that sits behind silence. He knows the questions that hide behind the smile you show the world. And he doesn't turn away. He moves closer. You are not unseen in the quiet. You are not abandoned in the waiting. You are deeply known, fully, tenderly, eternally known. Sometimes God's presence doesn't look like light breaking through clouds. Sometimes it looks like stillness that doesn't leave. It's the kind of quiet that says, "I am here. I am not going anywhere." When the world grows distant, when friends seem to fade, when the phone stays silent, his spirit still speaks, not in thunder, but in a whisper that rests gently on your soul. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." John 1:4-18. That's his voice, promising, steady, sure. The one who called galaxies into being also calls you by name. You are not forgotten. You are not lost in the crowd of humanity. You are held in the mind of God, whose thoughts toward you are countless and kind. If you listen closely, you might sense something shift inside you, not a dramatic change, but a soft awareness that you are accompanied, that even now, someone walks beside you. It's not imagination, it's truth. The Holy Spirit is with you. surrounding you like a quiet current, filling the spaces you thought were empty. You may not always understand his ways, but you can trust his heart. Every lonely road you walk becomes sacred when you realize you are not walking it alone. Even the wilderness becomes holy ground when you know God walks beside you there. You might wish for more visible companionship, a friend to call, a voice to answer, and those are gifts, too. But there is a companionship deeper than human understanding. It's the presence of the one who hears your thoughts before you speak them, who knows your needs before you name them. When you whisper, he listens. When you cry, he gathers every tear. When you can't find the words, he understands the language of silence. Loneliness tells you that no one sees you, but love tells another story. God sees you, every hidden part, every moment you think doesn't matter, every sigh, every small act of faith in the middle of an empty night. He sees the way you keep showing up, even when you feel unseen. He sees the way you hope quietly, love quietly, believe quietly, and he calls it beautiful. You don't have to fight for his attention. You already have it. Sometimes his presence feels like comfort, warmth, and calm spreading through the ache. Sometimes it feels like strength, the courage to face one more day. And sometimes it's simply the knowing that you are not forgotten, even when the world moves on. If loneliness has tried to convince you that you are incomplete, remember this: you were never meant to fill yourself. You were meant to be filled by the presence of God. His nearness doesn't erase your humanity, it fulfills it. It makes you whole again. And when you begin to rest in that truth, something beautiful happens. The loneliness that once felt unbearable becomes a doorway. You begin to notice small traces of grace that you missed before a bird outside the window, a song that finds you at the right moment, the unexpected peace that arrives in the middle of worry. These are not coincidences. They are reminders that you are seen. God's love has a way of finding you in the smallest things. It speaks in quiet details, weaving assurance into the ordinary moments of your life. You may not have all the answers you want, but you have the presence you need, and that presence changes everything. The people who walk closest with God often learn to find him in stillness, not because he hides, but because he whispers. You don't have to chase after him. You can simply become aware. He is already where you are in the room, in the air, in the rhythm of your heartbeat. Even when the night stretches long, you are never alone in it. There is a light that doesn't go out. There is a companion who doesn't leave. There is a love that doesn't withdraw when you struggle to believe. You can rest in that. It's okay to long for connection, to desire the touch of a hand or the sound of another voice. Those are holy desires. They reflect the image of the one who made you for relationship. But even in the absence of human closeness, divine closeness remains. God fills the spaces people cannot. He meets you in the quiet, where the noise of the world finally fades enough for you to hear him say, "You are mine." And once you know that, loneliness begins to lose its power. You realize that being alone is not the same as being abandoned. Solitude can become sacred when you find God there. You begin to carry his presence into every place you go, so that even when you are by yourself, you are never truly without company. His spirit becomes the quiet friend who walks with you down empty streets, the stillness that comforts you on sleepless nights, the strength that whispers courage when you feel small. There will still be moments when loneliness returns, when memories ache, when silence feels heavy, but now you will know what to do with it. You can turn it into prayer. You can let it draw you closer, not farther. You can let it remind you that the one who never leaves is closer than your next thought. Over time, you begin to notice that your heart has changed. It doesn't fear the quiet anymore. It finds peace there. You begin to feel safe in stillness because you know who fills it. The presence that once felt distant now feels near, and the loneliness that once felt endless begins to soften into communion. God's companionship is not a passing comfort. It's the foundation beneath everything. When the world fades, His love remains. Even now, He sits beside you not as a distant king, but as a loving father. His gaze is kind. His voice is gentle. His heart toward you has never changed. You may not be able to see Him, but He surrounds you. You may not be able to hear Him, but He speaks in peace. You may not be able to touch Him, but His presence rests on you like a warm covering. Steady and sure, He is here. He always has been. And when morning comes, when the first light touches your face, you'll remember you were never alone in the night. You'll carry that peace with you into your conversations, your work, your quiet moments. You'll begin to see others differently, too, realizing that they, too, long to know they are not alone. You'll find yourself becoming the presence that reminds others of His. A calm voice, a gentle word, a quiet kindness that says, "You are seen." That's how the love of God multiplies one presence, reminding another of the presence that never leaves. Even now, His Spirit is doing that work through you, turning your loneliness into compassion, your stillness into strength. He takes what once felt empty and fills it with meaning. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You never will be alone. There is a companionship that runs deeper than words. It anchors you in peace that nothing can break. And when the world feels far, that peace becomes your song. It sings softly, but it's enough. You are surrounded by love, enclosed in grace, carried by presence, and even in the quietest night, heaven leans near. So rest, beloved. Let the silence become a sanctuary, not a sentence. Let it remind you that you are never forgotten, never unseen, never unloved. You are surrounded by divine company. God is here closer than breath, stronger than fear, gentler than memory. He is the friend who never leaves, the shepherd who never loses his own, the father who never stops watching over his children. And He is with you now. You are safe. You are loved. You are never, ever alone. There are moments when the past feels close enough to touch, when memories rise quietly, uninvited, carrying the weight of things you wish you could change. Words spoken in haste, choices made in fear, seasons that ended before you were ready. The mind replays them again and again, as if holding them long enough might rewrite them. But grace speaks another language. It doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. Grace begins where self-condemnation ends. It steps into the places shame has built walls and whispers. You can come out now. You're safe. Many people live years trying to make peace with what they cannot undo. They build identities out of regret, measuring themselves by what went wrong. But God's love does not live in that ledger. His mercy isn't balanced by merit. It is infinite, a covering that falls soft as rain, reaching every hidden corner of the soul. The Apostle Paul wrote, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." That truth is freedom in its purest form. Grace is not something you achieve. It is something you receive. You don't have to earn it with apologies that never feel enough. You don't have to perform holiness to make up for being human. Grace is God's way of saying, "I know who you are, and I love you still." There is a tenderness in that kind of love, the kind that sees the whole story, not just the broken chapters, the kind that stoops down, lifts your chin, and calls you beloved when you cannot look yourself in the eye. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Those words are a doorway. Walk through them. Imagine setting down every accusation you've carried, every voice that told you you're unworthy, every lie that said you're too far gone. Grace doesn't argue with those voices. It silences them. You may remember failure. God remembers forgiveness. You may count your scars. He counts your redemption. The cross was never about guilt. It was about grace, a love so complete that it covers everything you've been, everything you are, and everything you will be. Sometimes we resist grace because it feels unfair. We want to deserve it. We want to prove we're worth saving. But grace doesn't wait for proof. It arrives in the middle of your need. It meets you where you are tired, imperfect, longing, and wraps you in the assurance that mercy was God's idea long before you knew to ask for it. There is a quiet relief that comes when you finally stop trying to fix yourself and start letting love do the healing. You begin to understand that forgiveness isn't a transaction, it's a transformation. When grace covers you, it doesn't just wipe the slate clean, it writes a new story. You begin to see yourself the way God sees you, whole, chosen, restored. You start to believe that maybe you are more than the sum of your mistakes, that there's something divine still breathing beneath the surface. Grace isn't fragile. It doesn't flinch at your humanity. It doesn't retreat when you falter again. It remains patient and steady, whispering, "I'm not going anywhere." If guilt has been your constant companion, let grace interrupt the conversation. Let it speak louder than the echo of what-ifs. Let it tell you that nothing you've done can outweigh what Christ has already done for you. At the cross, every accusation lost its authority. Every chain of shame was broken. Every distance between you and God was closed. You are not standing outside the door anymore. You are already home. Grace opens the door wide. It doesn't ask how you got here. It rejoices that you came. It sits you at the table, places light on your shoulders, and says, "Eat, rest, stay. You belong here." Maybe you've carried a version of faith that was more about fear than love. Maybe you've been told that holiness means never failing, never doubting, never struggling. But grace tells a different story. one where falling is not final, where returning is always possible, where love is never withdrawn. God's grace does not excuse sin, it heals it. It changes the heart from the inside out until obedience becomes a joy, not a burden. You don't need to live apologizing for existing. You can live grateful for being forgiven. There's a moment that comes when grace finally becomes personal, when you stop thinking it's for everyone else and realize it's for you. That's the moment everything changes. The shadows that once followed you begin to fade. The tightness in your chest eases. The self-hatred loses its voice. And in its place, peace begins to grow quiet at first, then steady, like morning light through open curtains. You don't need to understand how it happens. Grace is not logic, it's love. It takes what is broken and calls it beautiful. It takes what is lost and calls it found. It takes what is dead and calls it alive again. Grace is not fragile poetry, it is resurrection power. Steady enough to hold the whole world and tender enough to hold you. You may still remember your mistakes, but grace teaches you how to live beyond them. It gives you a future where your past no longer defines you. And when you stumble again, because you will, grace will be there. Not with disappointment, but with invitation, come back, begin again. That's the rhythm of redemption, falling and being lifted, failing and being forgiven, forgetting and being found, over and over, until love becomes the air you breathe. There is beauty in that rhythm. It humbles you, softens you, makes you gentle with others because you know what it feels like to be restored. Those who have tasted grace become carriers of it. You start to look at others through mercy's eyes. You stop expecting perfection and start celebrating progress. You stop keeping score and start keeping faith. Grace doesn't make you careless, it makes you compassionate. It turns judgment into empathy, comparison into kindness. Because when you know how deeply you've been forgiven, you lose interest in keeping count of anyone else's faults. You begin to live with open hands, ready to bless, to heal, to share. That's what grace does. It multiplies. It flows through you, reaching people you may never even realize you've touched. A word spoken kindly, a moment of patience, a small forgiveness. These become seeds of the same grace that once found you. You don't need to fix anyone. You simply carry light into the places that need it. The grace that covers you becomes the grace that covers others through you. And slowly, you realize that all along, grace was never just about your failures. It was about relationship, about staying connected to the heart of God even when you thought you'd disqualified yourself. There is no expiration date on mercy, no boundary it won't cross, no condition it won't heal. Grace is not a one-time event. It's the atmosphere you live in. You wake up in it, walk in it, rest in it. It's there when you succeed, and it's still there when you fall apart. You can stop punishing yourself for being human. You can let grace be what it was always meant to be: unearned favor, undeserved love, unstoppable kindness. The more you let it in, the more you start to see how God sees you as someone worth saving, someone worth loving, someone worth keeping. That realization doesn't inflate your pride. It softens your heart. It draws you closer to Him, not because you fear His judgment, but because you trust His goodness. You begin to pray differently, not with the desperation of someone trying to prove themselves, but with the peace of someone already accepted. You begin to live differently, not striving for approval, but walking in it. Grace becomes your confidence, your refuge, your rhythm. When shame tries to remind you of who you were, grace reminds you of who you are, beloved, chosen, renewed. When fear says you'll fail again, grace says you're already covered. When condemnation points to your weakness, grace points to His strength. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by His mercy. The more you rest in that truth, the more joy begins to return. You start to laugh again freely, lightly, as if something has lifted off you, because it has. The heavy cloak of guilt has been replaced with the garment of grace, and it fits perfectly. You don't have to hide anymore. You can live uncovered, because grace has already covered you completely. Even the parts of you you still struggle to love, He has already claimed them. He looks at your life and sees potential, not failure. He sees healing, not shame. He sees His reflection in the places you thought were ruined. That's how grace works. It transforms ashes into beauty, sorrow into song. It's not fragile or fleeting. It's eternal, and it's yours. Let that truth settle deep inside you. Grace is yours, not borrowed, not conditional, not temporary. It's a gift with your name on it, paid for in full by love that never ends. There is nothing you can do to lose it. There is nothing you can do to earn it. All that's left is to receive it again and again, as many times as you need to. And every time you do, it changes you a little more, softens the hard edges, heals the old wounds, renews your hope. Grace doesn't just cover what's behind you, it walks with you into what's ahead. It reminds you that even in failure, you're never disqualified. Even in weakness, you're never abandoned. Even in imperfection, you're never unloved. You belong. You are forgiven. You are free. Let that be your rest tonight, not your effort, not your striving, not your perfection, just grace, pure, unearned, unwavering grace. It's the soft blanket that covers you when the night feels long. It's the quiet assurance that whispers, you're already enough, because He is enough for you. His grace is sufficient, not just for salvation, but for every breath, every moment, every need. When you wake tomorrow, that grace will still be waiting fresh, patient, new as the morning. It will carry you through every uncertainty. It will remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the story of redemption still being written. You are not the mistake. You are the miracle that came after. You are covered completely, permanently, lovingly by grace, and that grace will never let you go. Peace can feel like the softest thing in the world, a quiet moment, a breath of calm, a still mind. Yet somehow, it can also be the hardest thing to hold. It slips through your fingers the moment life begins to move too fast, or when the world feels uncertain again. We all know what it's like to find peace for a little while, only to lose it when the next wave hits. But there is a kind of peace that doesn't fade, a peace that doesn't depend on calm circumstances or perfect days, a peace that doesn't tremble when the wind shifts. That peace doesn't come from control, it comes from presence. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Those words are not a promise of escape, they're a promise of endurance. The peace of Christ isn't fragile. It doesn't need to be guarded by silence or solitude or success. It stays because it's not built on you, it's built on Him. Many people search for peace as if it's hidden somewhere outside of themselves in better timing, in solved problems, in new beginnings. But lasting peace isn't found in what changes. It's found in who never changes. This peace doesn't arrive only when the noise ends. It lives inside the noise. It's the stillness that exists in the middle of movement, the calm that remains when everything else begins to shift. When storms come, the world teaches you to hold your breath, to brace yourself until it passes. But Christ teaches you something greater, to rest even while the waves are high. That's the difference between temporary calm and eternal peace. You've known temporary calm moments that felt perfect, when everything aligned just right. But you also know how quickly that calm can break. A word, a worry, a sudden loss, and it's gone. The peace of God is different. It doesn't vanish when the world changes. It holds steady because it's anchored in something eternal. The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Those words aren't theory. They're a map. When the world grows loud, His peace becomes a shield, unseen but real, guarding your mind from fear, your heart from despair. It doesn't explain away the pain, it simply holds you through it. This kind of peace doesn't need to make sense to be true. It just needs to be received. Maybe you've been trying to create peace by controlling everything around you, keeping people happy, managing every detail, chasing the perfect balance. But peace isn't a project, it's a presence. It's the awareness that God is already here, already enough. It stays because He stays. The peace of Christ doesn't mean the storm is gone. It means the storm no longer decides who you are. You can still feel the wind, but you're not defined by it. You can still see the waves, but you know they're not stronger than the one who walks on them. Peace begins when you stop asking life to be easy and start trusting God to be faithful. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about knowing that, even when it's not, you are held. You don't have to earn this peace. You don't have to deserve it. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to let it meet you where you are. Maybe tonight, you feel tired of trying, tired of fixing what breaks, tired of calming what won't quiet down. Peace doesn't ask for your effort, it asks for your surrender. When you stop fighting the current, you begin to feel what's been beneath you the whole time, the strength of something greater holding you up. That's what divine peace feels like. Not escape, but embrace. It's the steady rhythm of grace whispering, "You are safe." Even here, the world's peace depends on conditions, on comfort, success, or certainty. God's peace depends on communion. As long as you remain close to Him, peace remains close to you. When Jesus said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world," He wasn't promising a life without conflict. He was promising that nothing you face will ever separate you from His peace. Because peace is not the absence of trouble, it is the presence of victory. You can walk through chaos without it breaking you. Because your heart is anchored in something deeper, you can lose things, people, seasons, and still be whole. Because the peace that stays doesn't live in the things you can lose. It lives in the one who never leaves. This peace doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it's just quiet, a calm that others can't see but you can sense. It's the small assurance that wakes with you in the morning and follows you into the day. It's the soft voice that says, "You don't have to be afraid." There's a maturity in this kind of peace, a steadiness that grows with time. When you first begin to walk with God, peace can feel like a gift that comes and goes. But the longer you abide, the more you realize peace was never leaving you. It was teaching you to listen. It's easy to think peace comes only when things feel right. But peace often arrives first, then makes things right. It doesn't wait for clarity. It creates it. When you walk with peace, you stop reacting to every change. You stop being tossed around by emotion or uncertainty. You start to move with a quiet confidence, not because you're sure of the outcome, but because you're sure of His presence. You begin to live from the inside out, instead of the outside in. That's what it means to have peace that stays. You may not control what happens next, but you know who holds it. You may not be able to predict the road, but you know the one who guides your steps. Even when fear tries to return, peace stands like a guard at the door of your soul. It reminds you that anxiety may knock, but it doesn't have to enter. This peace doesn't erase emotion. It steadies it. It lets you feel deeply without being overwhelmed. It gives you permission to breathe without rushing, to rest without guilt, to trust without proof. And when life changes again, because peace remains the constant. When the world feels fragile, His peace is your foundation. When people disappoint, His peace is your refuge. When your plans fall apart, His peace is your path. Nothing can steal it because nothing can separate you from the love that gives it. There's a quiet strength in people who carry this peace. They don't need to shout to prove their faith. They don't need to force calm. It radiates naturally, like sunlight through leaves. You've probably seen that kind of peace before in someone who's lived through storms and still smiles softly, who's known pain but never lost compassion. That's what happens when peace becomes your companion, not just your visitor. And that same peace is being formed in you. It's patient, enduring, anchored. It doesn't rush or fade or depend on outcomes. You'll find that as this peace deepens, your perspective changes. You stop asking for an easier life and start praying for a steadier heart. You stop chasing perfection and start noticing presence. You start to see that peace was never something to find. It was something to remember. It was with you in the beginning. When God breathed life into you, it's with you now. As His Spirit rests within you, peace is your inheritance. It's part of who you are as a child of God. The world may try to take it, but it can't, Because this peace isn't borrowed, it's built into the fabric of your being. It stays because He stays. There will be days when you forget. There will be moments when anxiety rises again. When life feels loud and your thoughts spin fast. But even then, peace doesn't leave. It waits patiently for you to remember. It's never offended by your fear. It's never surprised by your weakness. It just remains steady, waiting, ready. And when you turn back toward God, even in the smallest way, peace rushes forward like an old friend saying, I was here all along. You are not fragile in His hands. You are not alone in your struggle. You are held by the one whose peace cannot be shaken. That's what keeps you grounded when everything else moves. The peace that stays doesn't promise an easy life, but it promises a whole one. A life not defined by chaos, but by calm. Not controlled by fear, but by faith. Not emptied by loss, but filled by love. You can walk into tomorrow without knowing what it holds, because peace walks with you. You can face uncertainty without despair, because peace is your certainty. You can rest in the middle of unanswered questions, because peace is your answer. And even when the night feels long again, peace will be there quiet, unwavering, eternal. When you open your eyes to a new morning, peace will rise with the sun. Because this peace doesn't depend on you holding it together, it depends on Him holding you together. That's why it stays. It's the gift that never expires. The presence that never leaves. The calm that no storm can undo. So tonight, let this truth be enough. Peace is not gone. Peace is not lost. Peace has a name, and His name is Jesus. He doesn't visit and leave. He abides. He doesn't calm one moment and disappear the next. He stays. His peace doesn't flicker. It glows steady, even in the dark. And because He lives within you, that peace lives within you too. It will not leave when the world shakes. It will not fade when you falter. It will not break when you bend. It will hold, steady as His promise, gentle as His love, sure as His grace. This is the peace that stays, the peace that whispers, you're safe, the peace that reminds, you're loved, the peace that never leaves. Because it was never based on circumstances, it was born from the heart of God Himself. Rest in that. Let it become your rhythm. Let it shape your days and steady your nights. You are surrounded by peace, sustained by peace, and carried by peace. It stays because He does, and that will always be enough. There is a peace that comes when you know someone is watching over you. Not the kind of watchfulness that waits for mistakes, but the kind that protects, provides, and stays close. The kind that sees before you ask, that walks beside you when you can't find the way, that carries you when your strength is gone. That is the care of the shepherd quiet, faithful, tender beyond words. The world can be loud, uncertain, filled with shifting paths and restless days, but God's care is steady, like green pastures after a long, dry road. He is not a distant observer. He is a present guide. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. It begins with belonging. The shepherd knows his sheep by name. He calls each one, and they recognize his voice. His care is not general or abstract, it is deeply personal. He knows your story, your steps, your fears, and the particular way your heart needs to be comforted. To say, "The Lord is my shepherd," is to rest in the assurance that you are never without guidance, never without love, never without a place to call home. You lack nothing essential. You are not forgotten, not wandering without purpose. Every step, even the difficult ones, leads through his care. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Those words are more than poetry. They are a map for the soul. The shepherd knows when you've been walking too long, carrying too much. He knows how to lead you toward rest, even when you've forgotten how to stop. Green pastures are not always physical places. Sometimes they are quiet moments like this, where the noise fades and your soul remembers that rest is not wasted time. Still waters represent peace, not the absence of movement, but the calm of being led. You don't have to find them on your own. The shepherd leads you there himself. He restores my soul. Restoration doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it's gentle, small acts of kindness, the return of hope, the feeling of safety that begins to grow again after a long season of fear. The shepherd restores you piece by piece, moment by moment, until you remember what wholeness feels like. Your soul is not too damaged to be made new. Your heart is not too heavy to be lifted. The shepherd specializes in mending what has been worn thin by worry and time. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even when you don't know the way, he does. The right path isn't always the easiest or the fastest, but it is always the one that leads you closer to peace. When you look back, you'll see his fingerprints in the places you thought were detours. What felt like delay was direction. What felt like wandering was the gentle curve of his plan. He doesn't lead you to impress others. He leads you for his name's sake, to show the world what faithful love looks like. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Those words hold power. They remind you that even in the deepest valleys, you are never alone. The shadow of death is not the same as death itself. It's a passing darkness, a temporary place. Fear loses its voice when you remember who walks beside you. You are not asked to be fearless. You are invited to trust. The shepherd doesn't remove the valley. He transforms it into holy ground by his presence. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. In ancient times, the rod was used for protection, the staff for guidance. Both were signs of care. The shepherd's authority and direction are not meant to control you, but to keep you safe. His correction is never cruelty, it is compassion. When you start to drift, his staff gently draws you back. When danger comes near, his rod defends you. His comfort isn't always a soft word. Sometimes it's the quiet confidence that you are guarded. Even when you don't see how, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Even in difficult seasons, God provides, not only enough to survive, but enough to feast, enough to be satisfied in the middle of the very place that tried to break you. The shepherd's care isn't limited by circumstance. He doesn't wait for peace to set the table. He spreads abundance in the middle of adversity. showing that his goodness is stronger than any threat. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Anointing oil was a sign of honor and healing. In the shepherd's hands, it becomes a gesture of tenderness, soothing the wounds you didn't even realize you had. The oil signifies blessing, but it also symbolizes belonging. The shepherd doesn't just feed his sheep, he cherishes them. He blesses them so abundantly that their cup overflows. That overflow isn't meant to be contained. It spills into the lives of others. When you live from the shepherd's care, your peace becomes contagious. Your kindness, a reflection of his abundance. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Think about that goodness and mercy. Don't just appear occasionally. They follow you. They pursue you. They walk behind you, cleaning up what fear left behind, redeeming what pain tried to destroy. Every day of your life is wrapped in those two companions, goodness to provide, mercy to forgive. You don't have to chase blessing. You simply have to walk with the shepherd. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The final line is not about a distant heaven only. It's about living every day aware of God's presence dwelling, abiding, resting in his care. You don't need to wait for eternity to feel at home in his love. You are already there. His presence is the house where your soul can finally rest. The shepherd's care is not just comfort for your body or guidance for your mind. It's nourishment for your spirit. It's the assurance that you are not wandering through life alone, even when you feel lost. The shepherd knows exactly where you are. He doesn't shout from a distance. He walks toward you. He doesn't blame you for straying. He rejoices when he finds you. He doesn't demand perfection. He delights in your return. The shepherd's care is both fierce and tender, fierce enough to protect, tender enough to heal. When you are weary, he carries you. When you are confused, he leads you. When you are hurt, he binds your wounds. When you are lonely, he stays near. He knows how to find you in the wilderness of worry, how to lead you through the fog of fear. And even when you can't see him, he never loses sight of you. You are known. You are wanted. You are his. There's something holy about knowing that your life is being guided by love that never sleeps. The shepherd doesn't rest because his care for you is constant. He watches through the night, ensuring that when morning comes, you are still safe. There will be times when you wander. That's what sheep do. But grace will always find you. The shepherd leaves the 99 to search for the one. Not because the one is more important, but because the one is missing, and to the shepherd, even one matters infinitely. When he finds you, he doesn't scold. He lifts you onto his shoulders and carries you home. That's what love looks like: patient, persistent, kind. You may think you've strayed too far, but the shepherd's care stretches farther still. You may believe you failed too many times, but his mercy outnumbers your mistakes. You may feel forgotten, but his heart has never stopped remembering you. He knows every contour of your soul, every fear, every hope, every scar, and still, he calls you beloved. His voice is calm, recognizable, gentle. When the world feels full of noise, that's the voice you can trust. It doesn't demand, it invites. Come home. Rest here. You are safe now. There is no need to hide your weakness from him. The shepherd isn't disappointed by your need. He is moved by it. He delights in being your provider. He finds joy in being your protector. His strength is not distant power, it's close. Compassionate presence. When you lie down at night, you can do so knowing that you are being watched over, not by fate, not by chance, but by love itself. The same hands that formed the stars are the hands that hold your life. The same eyes that see galaxies see you. The same voice that commands creation whispers your name with tenderness. That is the care of the shepherd. You don't need to be brave all the time. You just need to remember that you are not alone in the field. Even in the valley, there's light. Even in the wilderness, there's direction. Even in silence, there's presence. Your shepherd doesn't lose his sheep. He doesn't grow weary of rescuing you. He doesn't give up when you wander again. His care doesn't expire with time or change with circumstance. It's constant like the pulse of creation itself. Steady and sure. Every breath you take is evidence of his care. Every sunrise is his reminder I am here. Still watching. Still guiding. Still loving. There will always be green pastures ahead. There will always be still waters waiting. There will always be goodness following. Because the shepherd's care is not just something you receive, it's something that defines you. You belong to him. When you face loss, his comfort will meet you there. When you face fear, his courage will rise within you. When you face uncertainty, his direction will light your path. And when the day ends, when the world grows quiet again, you can lie down knowing that your shepherd is still awake. He never leaves. He never fails. He never stops loving. So let your soul rest tonight under his watchful gaze. You are not wandering. You are being led. You are not forgotten. You are being held. You are not lost. You are found. Again and again. In the endless care of the one who calls you his own. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. His goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life, and you will dwell in his house not someday, but now and forever. Peace is here. Love is here. The shepherd is here, and in his care, you are home. There are nights when the mind refuses to rest. You lie in the quiet, but your thoughts are wide awake, circling old worries, unfinished plans, distant memories. The room feels still, yet something inside you keeps turning. You check the clock, hoping time has moved faster, but the hours stretch long. You tell yourself to let go, to relax, but peace feels far away. And yet, even here in the restless hours, in the darkness between one day and the next, you are not alone. God has not gone to sleep. His presence does not fade when yours grows weary. He watches over you still, patient, tender, and unhurried. The scripture says, "He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." That means even when your body can't find rest, your soul is still held by the one who never tires. The night may feel long, but he is awake through all of it, keeping watch with care that never wavers. when sleep escapes you. His peace does not. You don't have to earn rest by trying harder to be calm. You don't have to battle your own thoughts to find stillness. God's presence is not waiting for you to quiet down. It's already here, steady and near, whispering softly into the dark. He sees the things that trouble you, the worries that rise like tides, the memories that replay without asking. He knows every thought before it forms. And yet his gaze is filled with compassion, not frustration. He is not disappointed by your sleeplessness. He understands it. Even this moment, the tossing, the silence, the in-between is known to him. You haven't fallen out of his care just because you can't fall asleep. There is something holy about these quiet hours. The world has gone still. And in that stillness, God speaks gently. His voice is not loud or demanding. It's like a steady heartbeat in the background, reminding you, you are safe. You are loved. You can rest. Even if you can't sleep. Sometimes we think rest only comes through sleep. But rest begins with trust. It's not about closing your eyes. It's about opening your heart to the truth that God is in control. Even now, your thoughts might wander to tomorrow, the things left undone, the tasks waiting to be faced. But God is already in tomorrow. He's preparing it while you're here. In this moment, trying to rest, you don't need to stay awake to manage what He's already handling. The psalmist wrote, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety." Those words are not a command to fall asleep immediately. They are a reminder that you can dwell in safety even before sleep comes. Your body may stay awake, but your heart can still rest. When the night feels endless, imagine the Lord sitting beside your bed, not far, not silent, but present. His watch is not distant or distracted. His attention is complete. He doesn't need you to perform, to pray perfectly, or to speak at all. He simply wants you to know that He's there. There's no hour too late for His love, no thought too tangled for His understanding, no exhaustion too deep for His mercy. He watches not to judge, but to protect, not to measure, but to comfort. You may have trouble believing that something so simple, His nearness, could be enough. But that's what faith feels like in the middle of the night. It's not loud or certain. It's quiet trust. It's the decision to say, God, even if I can't rest my mind, I will rest my heart in you. And He receives that. He knows how to cradle your soul even while your body stirs. He knows the language of your thoughts, the shape of your sighs. Each restless hour is seen, each tear accounted for. The same God who numbers the stars also numbers your sleepless moments, and in each one, He is near. Sometimes sleepless nights are not interruptions to life. They are invitations. They invite you to listen not to the noise of your worries, but to the quiet assurance of His care. Maybe the reason you're awake is not because something's wrong, but because God wants to remind you of something right, that you are not abandoned, that His love hasn't gone silent, that even this darkness is filled with His presence. When you lie awake, try to see this night differently, not as punishment, but as a pause, a chance to feel the gentle strength of the One who watches over you. There's a peace that doesn't depend on sleep, a peace that comes from knowing you are completely known, and completely loved. The world tells you that rest means everything must stop. But God's rest means that even when your thoughts continue, your spirit can settle into His keeping. When you cannot find silence in your mind, find stillness in His truth. You are not the keeper of your life. He is. You are not holding yourself together through this night. He is, and He has never once failed to hold what belongs to Him. It's easy to feel small at night, the room dim, the sky wide, the hours stretching longer than they should. But even in that smallness, there's comfort, because God fills it with Himself. The same darkness that hides everything else cannot hide you from Him. The same shadows that make you uneasy are the ones He turns into shelter. He is your keeper. He doesn't fall asleep at the edge of your worry. He doesn't grow weary of your prayers that trail off halfway through. He doesn't forget you when the world grows quiet. He remains watchful, loving, near. Think of the stories long before you of prophets and kings, of shepherds and wanderers who all faced nights of uncertainty. They, too, lay awake, unsure of what morning would bring, and yet every one of them was carried through by the same faithful God who carries you now. David, alone in the wilderness, found his peace not in his surroundings, but in the shepherd's care. Elijah, exhausted and afraid, was met by God not with thunder, but with a whisper. Jacob wrestled through the night and found that even in struggle, he was seen and blessed. And you here, tonight, are part of that same story. The God who watched over them is watching over you. You are not unseen in the quiet. You are not forgotten in the dark. Every heartbeat is accompanied by His faithfulness. Every passing moment is filled with His care. You may not feel it, but you are being held gently, completely, eternally. When morning comes, you might not remember every thought from this night, but what will remain is the quiet truth that God was here, that He watched you through the long hours, that His love stayed constant while you waited for light. Sometimes, peace doesn't come like a wave. It comes like a whisper that slowly fills the silence. Maybe that whisper is beginning even now, a reminder that it's okay to rest, that nothing needs to be solved before morning, that even unfinished prayers are heard. God does not measure your faith by your calmness. He measures it by your return. And here you are, turning your thoughts toward Him in the middle of the night. That is enough. He delights in it. You don't have to know what to say. Your presence is prayer enough. Even the silence between your words is sacred to Him. You are not wasting this night. You are spending it in the company of the one who never sleeps. When you close your eyes again, whether sleep comes or not, picture His hand resting gently over your heart. Feel the safety in that thought. Not a dream, but a reality deeper than sight. You are being kept. You are being guarded. You are being loved through the quiet hours until morning finds you again. And when morning does come, it won't be a surprise to God. He has already prepared it for you. The sun will rise, not just on the world outside, but on the weariness within you. The same grace that covered the night will light your path in the day. You will find that even if you slept little, your spirit somehow feels strengthened. Because rest is not always measured by hours, sometimes it's measured by peace. And peace has been here all along, staying with you watching over you, waiting for you to notice it. So if you find yourself awake again, don't rush to fix it. Just remember this: you are being watched over by perfect love. The stars above are witnesses of that care, ancient, steady, faithful. They shine not to keep you awake, but to remind you that the same God who hung them in the sky is the one holding your life together. Every breath, every beat, every quiet hour is a thread in the fabric of His goodness. You are not behind schedule. You are not forgotten in the dark. You are exactly where He can reach you right here. In the stillness, He has not turned away. He has not stopped caring. He has not missed a single moment of your night. The world may sleep, but heaven keeps watch, and over you. Tonight, the words are still true. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and your going, both now and forevermore. So, whether your eyes close soon or stay open longer, may your heart rest in the knowledge that you are under His gaze. You are safe in His keeping. You are known in His love. You are never out of His sight, even here in the stillness. In the quiet ache of sleeplessness, you are surrounded by divine care. God is not waiting for morning to bless you. He is blessing you now, in this silence, in this night, in this breath. And when you finally drift into rest, whether minutes or hours from now, He will still be here guarding your dreams, guiding your spirit, covering you with a peace that never ends. Because that's what He does. He watches, He keeps, He loves, always. And when the morning light touches your face, you'll wake not just to a new day, but to the same unchanging truth. The one who watched over you in the night is the same one who walks with you in the light. You were never alone. You never will be. The night has passed. The shepherd still stands watch, and his love constant. Yet, eternal will follow you into the day. The night has come again quiet, tender, and full of grace. You've walked through a sacred journey. 12 chapters of rest and renewal, each one guiding you closer to peace. Tonight, as this final chapter unfolds, let your heart settle into the truth that has whispered through every word: you are loved, you are seen, and you are held. For so long, you have carried the noise of the world, the rush, the worry, the weight of what was and what might be. But this moment is different. This is not a moment to strive. This is a moment to surrender. The night stretches gently around you like a soft blanket, and heaven itself leans close to remind you that rest is holy and sleep is safe. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Through every valley and every dawn, through every silence and every song, the shepherd of your soul has been beside you. His love has watched over you when you were weary. His peace has waited patiently when your mind wandered. His mercy has met you again and again, never running dry. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, remember this: His love doesn't fade when the light fades. It glows quietly in the dark, a soft flame that will not go out. The same hands that shape the stars now cradle you with care that never sleeps. The scripture says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. These words are not just a promise for tomorrow, they are a lullaby for tonight. You can rest knowing that while the world sleeps, God is still awake, writing light into your next dawn. You've traveled far in these meditations, through peace and storms, through surrender and stillness, through grace and renewal. You've listened to the voice that calms the sea, to the shepherd who calls your name, to the truth that even in the silence, you are never forgotten. And now, you've arrived at the threshold of a new morning, not just the one waiting outside your window, but the one within your soul, a quiet beginning born out of all that has been restored. The night doesn't have to be something to escape. It can be something to rest in the space where God whispers his gentlest promises. The stars above you are not distant. They are reminders of his faithfulness. The rhythm of the night is not empty. It is filled with his presence. You can let go now. Let go of what you couldn't finish today. Let go of what tomorrow might bring. Let go of what weighs too much for you to carry. The Lord who created rest is offering it to you again, not as a luxury, but as love. He is near. He is here. And his peace is enough. Tonight, you are surrounded by the same grace that guided you through each of the 12 episodes. The grace that taught you to let go, to trust, to be still, to believe that you are never beyond the reach of mercy. You are not a collection of unfinished stories. You are a living testimony of God's faithfulness. Each breath, each heartbeat, each quiet prayer has been written into his book of love. And now, the chapter closes not in ending, but in continuation, because what begins in rest always awakens in renewal. Soon, your eyes will grow heavy. The world around you will fade into quiet. But while you sleep, heaven will still hum its steady song of care. Angels will keep watch. The Spirit will guard your peace. The Father will cover you with love that never breaks. You can sleep deeply, safely, freely because you are not forgotten. You are seen. You are loved beyond measure. Close your eyes and let his words settle in your heart. You are mine. You are safe. You are enough. And I am here. The world outside is silent now. The night air rests. Even creation pauses in reverence, as if joining in your prayer for peace. This is your time to rest in God's keeping, not because everything is perfect, but because he is. Let his mercy wrap around you. Let his peace steady your heartbeat. Let his presence linger in the space between one thought and the next. And when you wake again, his mercies will be waiting new as the dawn, strong as ever, gentle as this night. So rest now. Beloved child of God, may your dreams be light and kind. May your soul breathe deeply in his presence. May every shadow turn to light, every ache to peace. May you remember, even in your sleep, that you are loved completely, endlessly, eternally. Good night. Good night. In his love, good night. Under the watch of the shepherd who never sleeps. And when morning comes, when light spills softly across your room, and the first sounds of the day begin, lift your heart with this truth. The Lord has kept you through the night. He has watched. He has blessed. He has restored. And now, He greets you with new mercies in the morning. Rise slowly. Breathe in His kindness. Step gently into the light. The story continues. The peace remains. The shepherd still walks beside you. From the first word of creation to this final whisper of night, His love has never stopped speaking. You have heard it in every chapter, in still waters and green pastures, in valleys and in songs of grace, in light and in darkness, in surrender and in hope. That voice still calls your name tonight, softly, clearly, faithfully. Come rest. All is well. You are safe. You are home. And so you are. Sleep now, in peace that stays. Sleep in grace that covers. Sleep in love that never leaves. For the night belongs to God, and so do you. Tomorrow will come with new light, new mercy, new beginnings. But tonight, this stillness, this sacred quiet is enough. Good night. Beloved, rest in His arms, peace to your mind, comfort to your heart, and mercy waiting for you in the morning. Amen.